It wasn't the prettiest win, but the Wildcats still managed to get it done on opening day thanks to an explosive night from Collin Chandler.
You are Locked On Kentucky, your daily podcast on the Kentucky Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, what's going on, Big Blue Nation? Welcome on into Locked On Kentucky, your daily Kentucky Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Lance Dawe, and on today's episode of Locked On Kentucky, we are going to be recapping Kentucky basketball's victory over Nicholls. It was a bit of an interesting game, obviously, because of what happened in the first half. A very two-sided affair in terms of the awful shooting in the first half, the really, really solid performance in the second half, Collin Chandler going off, a lot of questions coming out of this game, a lot of positives I think we could take away from this. Really very much so a mixed bag. But is there really any reason for concern? We're going to walk all of that out tonight. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. You can download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Thank you guys for watching. If you are in the live chat right now, really appreciate you guys over on YouTube. If you're listening here on podcast after the game, let me know what you think in the comments below on Spotify or at Locked On UK is where you can find me on Twitter as well. Okay, so 77-51 is the final score here. Cats are 1-0. Sometimes that's all you can ask for, but at the same time, you want to be able to go out and really prove that you've got the stuff. You are legitimate on both ends of the floor against teams like the Colonels, and Kentucky in the first half absolutely did not do that. In the first half, they shot just 10 of 31 from the field, 2 of 16 from three. Really, really rough shooting in the first half, and honestly, overall, Kentucky shooting less than 30% from beyond the arc in the game. But it was bad. There is no other way to put it. The offense was exactly how it was against Georgetown. It was lethargic. It was slow. Players were not getting open. Kentucky was kind of panicking at various points late in the shot clock. They were just not really getting any sort of, I guess, momentum or flow going on the offensive end. Defensively, however, it's one of the greatest halves I've seen Kentucky play. Nicholls scored just 15 points. They were 3 of 25 from the floor, 1 of 14 from three. 8 of their 15 points came from the free throw line. They turned the ball over 8 times, did Nicholls in the first half. This was, it was really, coming out of that half, I was like, okay, this is bad. This is really, really bad. But at the same time, like, we are seeing an incredible defensive performance despite that. And again, to go back to the Georgetown game, the Purdue game, the pro day, Kentucky's blue and white game, Kentucky has not shot the ball well consistently, like at all. Like, they just flat out have not been able to put together a complete performance on offense shooting. That's a concern moving forward. I think it's legitimate. Can Kentucky shoot the ball consistently night in and night out? Again, in this game, total shooting 26% from three. That has to change. If Kentucky wants to be a legitimate title contender, they have to be able to at least be an average three-point shooting team. They showed some of this in the second half. They went 5 of 11, 45.5%. Really, really good. Chandler knocked down all 3 of his threes. In fact, he knocked down all 4 of his shots. Obviously, the other one being that insane dunk, which might already be the dunk of the year. Dawe knocked down a corner 3. Jasper knocked down a triple. You saw what this offense can be whenever its shooters do step up. Trent Noah out with an injury early in this game, so one of the best shooters on this roster kind of taken off the floor early. Didn't really get to see him get going, but you have players. You have guys that can shoot. Cam Williams showed that he can shoot at Tulane, has been, like, just, there's no other way to put it. He's just been flat out awful to start the season, even before obviously the game that Kentucky's played that's mattered. But yeah, Kentucky has to be a better shooting team. They got to show some of that in the second half. Okay, great. But I want to see a more complete effort from the squad. Maybe we'll see it against Valpo later this week. Defensively, though, again, I'm really excited about what we saw from the Cats. We were not to like say, oh, I'm Nostradamus, but we were right about kind of how maybe Kentucky would play this game defensively. Nicholls was not able to get anything going inside the arc in this game. In fact, they weren't really able to get anything going at all But that was kind of the takeaway is, look, I know that they like to spread things out. They like to shoot threes, but if they cannot find efficient offense inside the arc, they're not going to be able to win this game. Obviously shooting 46.4% from the floor. In the second half, things kind of got out of hand for them. Kentucky started stretching that lead out. Kentucky almost scored 50 points in the second half. So Nicholls was they also just kind of hit some wild shots as well to kind of boost their efficiency there. But overall, it was a suffocating performance from Kentucky. And there were some bigger wings here that Nicholls had that just could not get anything done at the rim. I think they were honestly just a little too light. That might have been the biggest issue there. So Kentucky gets the win, 77-51. We'll continue to break this one down here. Obviously, you get to the live chat. Thank you to everybody who's already in here. Again, if you have not liked the video already, please go ahead and do so. We'll talk about the second half. We'll talk about positives, kind of question marks as we get closer to that Louisville game. Before we do all of that, though, I want to tell you guys about our friends over at at FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, continuing along here on this live edition of Locked On Kentucky. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you are, again, not subscribed, haven't liked the video yet, would love it if you did so. Really appreciate all of the longtime listeners here in the chat. Obviously, Ito, Captain Crash, second half, as Captain mentions, played with much better pace. And I guess that's the positive that you can take away from this is that Kentucky can't, they still have the ability to get past kind of bogging themselves down offensively. Like you can absolutely push past some of the issues that you had on offense here by playing with pace, playing with some energy, going out there and just trying to run the floor, trying to be more aggressive downhill with some of your guard play. They were more successful with that in the second. We'll see if they're able to do that more consistently against Valpo if Lowe is on the floor. My guess is that they will be if they have their true lead point guard offensive engine out there. But yeah, pace, I think, is going to be huge for Kentucky in terms of how they want to operate offensively. Being bogged down in the half court just does not seem like it fits their style personnel-wise. It absolutely does not. Let's see, 4 different Wildcats here in double figures. Dawe with 13. Chandler, obviously, with 15 points, 4 assists, a couple of steals and a block. You also had Aberdeen with 10 points, who I thought played very well. You had, Jasper Johnson with 11 points, 4 assists. I thought Kentucky's guards played awful against Georgetown. And they really stepped up here today, I thought. Obviously, Dawe, Chandler, Aberdeen, and Johnson, just the quartet there, all in double figures. 3 of them, I think, distributing the ball really well. Obviously, Aberdeen with those 6 assists and no turnovers. Aberdeen is clearly, it's obvious why they went out and got him, why they went out and spent money on him to go get this kid from Florida. It's the experience, I think, that he's got. It's the athleticism. It's the size at guard. It's the fact that he can handle the ball a little bit. And there are going to be nights where he does end up lighting it up from 3. Just 1 of 5 here to start, 4 of 9 from the floor. But I really think that Aberdeen, with some of the spot-up opportunities that he gets, he's going to be able to knock some of those down. I think the efficiency is going to go up at least a little bit, and then you're going to see a very, very, very valuable backup point guard, especially if Lowe can't stay healthy, knock on wood. So Aberdeen, I thought was great tonight. Jasper, I thought, was great because he did the one thing that I feel like almost nobody else on this roster can consistently, maybe outside of Dawe, and that is create your own shot. Jasper, I think on 2 of his field goals outside of that spot-up 3 in the second half, or catch and shoot 3, I guess I should say. 2 of them were him driving into the lane, creating stuff with some really smooth moves. Again, just a freshman, but he's putting it on the deck. He's trying to be stronger with the ball in his hands, and I thought he was effective tonight at various spots. So I liked the guards. I liked the fact that Kentucky just blew them out of the water in the second half in terms of shooting, 61.3% from the floor. Free throw shooting was a concern, obviously. Kentucky going 12 of 22 as a team, but I feel like that is more of a product of the two of the worst free throw shooters on this roster taking 9 of those 22 free throws. Marino was 1 of 6 from the charity stripe, 1 of 6. He's got to be better. He's got to be better than that. You've got to get him up to at least 50%. And then obviously Mohamed Diabate was 1 of 3 as well. 2 players that just don't have a lot of touch at the charity stripe, whereas Dawe was 4 of 5. Aberdeen made his 1 free throw. Jasper was 4 of 5. So outside of that, I thought Kentucky was fine. They've just got to find a way to get the right players fouled and at the line consistently. And if they can, I think they're going to be fine in that department moving forward. So free throw shooting, I don't necessarily know if it's that big of a concern. Kentucky crushed Nicholls on the glass, plus 21. They had 10 more offensive rebounds, double the second chance points there. Crushed them thanks to players like Marino, who only, again, had 5 points. He could have had a lot more, but he had 9 boards and an assist in 17 minutes of play. Also, Mohamed Diabate with 7 and 7. 4 assists as well for Diabate, which was really, really awesome to see. Kentucky as a team, 21 assists to 13 turnovers. Nicholls 8 or 9 assists to 11 turnovers in this game. So again, the defense showed up. There were aspects of this offense that I liked, but the first half, man, that was just really, really poor shooting. And it makes you wonder, how long is it going to take to get this team going? How long is it going to take for them to gel? You have arguably your 2 best players on the roster, or 2 most important players on the roster, not playing right now. They didn't play this opener. You still won by almost 30. You get out of here, you go to Valpo. You try and be more comfortable in both halves, be more consistent, play a complete game. But heading into Louisville, man, right now, that looks like a very, very tough out for Kentucky. They're going to have to really, really bog things down there on the defensive end. They're going to have to really clamp down on Louisville, or else that could be a hard time. Because if they have a bad shooting half like this, they're not going to be able to recover in the second. It's just not going to be able to happen. I say that, and then they went on the road in a neutral site and beat both Gonzaga and Duke in crazy comebacks last year. But still, I feel like it's unrealistic to expect that to be the norm. You can't just fight your way back from double-digit comebacks every single time you have a bad half. So Kentucky's got to be able to adjust there. I thought they adjusted well here. I think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to be fine, but I want to see more. I definitely want to see more. So we'll get to some of the thoughts that you guys have. We'll get to the live chat. We'll talk with you guys here to wrap up this live recap of Kentucky versus Nicholls. 77-51 is the final score. Also, because I love it so much and nobody can stop me, we'll get to KenPom numbers here in a second. Actually, pretty okay with the way that things stand right now. Before we do that, though, tell you guys about our friends over at Game Time. College basketball is back, and I could not be more excited. It's the rivalries, the energy in the stands, the vibes. There's just absolutely nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets to some of these games can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. It's endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout, and that's why I use Game Time. It gives advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. Once you see what you pay. You can pull up Game Time in just a couple of taps. You can see amazing deals. The app makes it super simple. You can even see your exact view from your seat before buying, and I'll just go ahead and tell you it's even better in person. Has been every single time I've used Game Time for literally anything. They've got zone deals. You can pick the section. Game Time picks the seats. You save big. It's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than literally any way that I bought tickets. Not a bit. I love Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying your tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, wrapping up today's episode of Locked On Kentucky. Really appreciate everybody in the live chat watching. Again, if you have not subscribed, like the video, would love it if you did so. So let's go ahead and get to some of the live chat here. Obviously, 77-51 was the final score. We talked about how good Kentucky's defense was. I think from top to bottom, it was pretty good. I thought it was a really, really good performance from the guards here. If you want to look at plus-minus stats, you can see Mohamed Diabate and Denzel Aberdeen both plus 20 in this game. Also, Otega Dawe, Collin Chandler plus 16. Garrison was plus 15. He had 8 points, 5 boards, an assist, and a steal in this one. Pretty well-rounded scoring effort. I'm really not mad with how the Cats played here as well. Let's see. If we play only one half against a good team, we will get worked like okay, I can't say that, but I understand where you're coming from. Marino's shot was so ugly from the line. It's just like he cocks it all the way back, and there's just no touch there. He's got to be more fluid, I think. And obviously, some of those struggles come with the fact that you're a 6'11", 250-pound man, and you haven't really like fully like adjusted comfortably to your body in terms of fluidity on a basketball court. Now, there are some things that I thought that Marino did really well, but also at the same time, I think he's also got to get a little bit stronger with his hands on the catch. There were also some entry passes that were just flat out bad to him tonight that led to some turnovers. Was not fired up about that, the way that they were just continuously trying to lob it into him, and it was just not working. But let's see. Chandler's role is definitely a two guard. He excels when he is a main ball handler, and it's obvious. Dangerous on both sides of the floor when we got a PG like Aberdeen and Lowe. Completely agree. This is something that everybody on Twitter was saying. This is something that we had been saying before the season even started. Collin Chandler is not a point guard. He's not a point guard. Obviously, you like the fact that you got 15, 2, and 4 to go along with a block and 2 steals tonight in 24 minutes of play. Really solid. Still, you want him off ball, and you want him playing with somebody like Aberdeen. You want him playing with somebody like Jalen Lowe. At this point, I have high expectations to see the floor of this offense raised significantly whenever Lowe is actually finally back out on the court, because I think that he really does bring a lot of, again, fluidity, a word that we've used a lot tonight, that Kentucky has either had or not had or could have later on in the year. So I completely agree with that. Free throw shooting becomes everything in rivalry games and tournaments. I agree. Again, I think it comes down to who you foul, but that doesn't excuse that Diabate and Marino. They do have to become more consistent there, better free throw shooters. Ito says we need all of our players to get some minutes against Valpo. And this is actually something I was thinking before the game even started. I was sitting there as the game was about to start, and I was thinking, okay, so if Aberdeen's going to play tonight, okay, cool. But at the same time, like if you've got Aberdeen and Lowe questionable or not 100%, even somebody like Otega, like is he 100%? I'm not quite sure. There were some interesting things going on tonight with him on the court, but like, do you play them? And I started to think about it. I'm like, okay, as the first half went, it's like, okay, I feel like you have to play them against Valpo now. Everybody that can, I think you have to play them against Valpo just to get them on the court and comfortable with each other, because it doesn't matter the opponent. You have to be able to go out there and just get some experience, get some playing time together in a game that actually matters. So yeah, I agree. I think that if Lowe is healthy, he should play. If Trent Noah is healthy, he should play. If Aberdeen is healthy, he should play. Everybody that's available should go out there and log minutes against Valpo. Completely agree. Still crazy how the Kentucky games have been so far, given the two best players are out. Yeah, it's been such a wild, like, roller coaster mixed bag of, oh, you beat Purdue without 2 of your best players. You lose by 14 to Georgetown without 3 players. And now here you are back, awful first half, but then you look like world beaters, 60% from the floor in the second, 45% from 3 in the second, and you win this game by almost 30. Could have won this game by 30 if you hadn't taken your foot off the gas at the end. It's something that is frustrating. And something that I actually mentioned, I think, in a group chat, and then to one other person that I had texted during the game, it's just like, I want to see what we've kind of been asking for, and what Pope had kind of been preaching, just kind of like, not saying this directly, but high floor basketball, where you don't see a drop-off or a wave every single night. I don't want to have to ride the roller coaster and the wave night in and night out with this team and say, okay, are we just going to look up and have an awful shooting performance one half, and then we're going to have to claw our way back, or are we going to have a really good first half and have to hold on to a lead because we fall apart in the second? Because that was kind of what was happening last season, right? Because of how volatile the construction of last year's roster was, and it kind of had to be that way. I'm not saying it's like an awful thing. I understand there's a lot of context surrounding that, but still, absolutely. It's kind of fascinating the way that we have kind of already one game in technically, and we've seen the highs and lows of what I think that this team can be. Something that Mark Pope said, as sobering as it might have been, I think it was absolutely right. Kentucky is team great. There is not an individual on this roster right now. I'll insert my own right now. There's not an individual on this roster at this moment that can carry this team. There isn't. They are a complete product when everybody is on the floor and everybody's playing a role. But you got to get your best defender and best ball handler on the floor to actually experience the highs of that. But still, this is team great. And you have to see it come together consistently. And I think Kentucky saw that absolutely in the second half. Absolutely did. Let's see. Yelovich did not look good. I thought Yelovich looked fine. Yelovich looked fine. You have to think about the kid's a sophomore. He's not played college ball before. 6 points, 5 boards. In 18 minutes, he was +7, which again, not bad. I thought that he was okay. I didn't think he was terrible. You got to knock down at least one of those threes, I thought, but the one at the very end didn't matter. I think that he will come into his own where he is like a 6-point-ish scorer off the bench with some average to slightly below average 3-point shooting efficiency. I thought he was fine for where he is. I thought he was okay right now. Let's see. BG played well also. He won't get the credit because of all his haters, but he made good decisions and even played really well in perimeter defense against guards. Not many big men can do that. That's a great point, and I meant to get to that. The way that Kentucky's bigs and larger forwards handled their assignments defensively was awesome. Very rarely in this game did you see any player on the floor getting beat on drives to the rim. What killed Kentucky last season was not being able to stay in front of the ball handler, big or small. You got to see it against players like Ohio State's Bruce Thornton or whoever they had in terms of personnel that were just flying by Kentucky in terms with their speed, despite not being big. And then you had guys like Matthews at Mississippi State a season ago who were just barreling through you, and you could not stop them physically. Marino, I think, did well with this. I thought Garrison, you were absolutely right, was excellent with this. I think that's one of the reasons why he was +15, had an efficient shooting night, 5 boards. I thought he played well. But absolutely, I think Kentucky across the board was really, really good at making sure they stopped drives to the basket. And whenever they got there, they were being aggressive, mostly without fouling. The officiating in this game was not phenomenal. But I think that kind of went both ways. They were at points just like really letting them get physical. At other points, like it was just they were just letting everything, or they were calling one thing and then not calling it. It was inconsistent at times, but that wasn't the reason why this was a weird game. But yeah, I agree with you. I thought that Garrison and Marino specifically were really good about that. Let's see here. Nowhere as great as the 96 team. They had individual talent meshed with team chemistry, should be able to afford that talent now. I disagree. I think that the way that, I disagree with, I disagree with both because we don't know if they are as good as the 96 team because we've seen them play one game. Like we got to get more data collected, as Pope likes to say, before we can make conclusions. I think that they can be a really, really, really good team. I think we haven't seen the complete product. Reminder, guys, arguably the best defender in college basketball has not played a minute for Kentucky in a game that does or does not matter. The only point guard on the roster has not played a minute in a game that does or does not matter. Lowe did play in the blue and white game, but he hasn't played in a game that matters yet. And the offense clearly looked better whenever Lowe was on the floor. So I don't think we truly know where Kentucky's at yet. And as far as affording that talent now, I think that we can have a discussion and a conversation about what talent, quote unquote, means. Because I think that talent here is different from like the talent of the 90s. And I think that we have kind of gone through different eras of college basketball and redefined what talent is, what a talented team, quote unquote, is. Obviously, you've gone through the one and done era. Obviously, that is still a way that you can make an effective roster. But in terms of greatness, we've seen a really nice blend of experience, transfer portal players with some 5-star talent, obviously. So I think it's a little different. And I think Kentucky right now, I don't want to dog any individual player on this roster. I think that is a conversation that can be had. It's a fair thing to say as far as talent, but I think that you can also look at it a different way. But also, again, I don't want to dog any individual player. I'll just say I think Kentucky spent their money well on most of these guys, just based on what I can tell right now. But again, it's only one game, so we're going to need more data. I do hope looking back on this, we can realistically compare the two. I hope so too, man. I agree. Don't get it crazy. There's only one Derbyshire. Completely agree. When we play Louisville, always going to have to be on the floor more. We need his defense as much as his ability to get the ball downhill, especially against those Louisville guards. I agree. You have to be more aggressive attacking the basket. I liked what Collin Chandler did tonight. I don't know how aggressive Louisville is going to be pressuring him, like getting up in his grill, trying to steal the ball away from him. But Nicholls didn't really do that tonight, and it kind of allowed him to show a little bit more comfortable. He showed that he's a little bit more comfortable handling the ball. Showed it on that drive and dunk to the dunk in the second half, for sure. But yeah, you have to be able to get to the rim a little bit more aggressively. I don't know if you shoot as many threes as Kentucky has. At the same time, broadcast mentioned this at half, and I'll reiterate it here. The shots Kentucky is taking are not bad looks for the most part. Like they're taking like reasonable 3-point shots. Cam is just not hitting. Yelovich is just not hitting. Aberdeen is just not hitting. Noah was 0 of 2 in this game. There's going to come games where they fall, and if this defense is still as good as we think it is, there's the margin of victory could expand wildly beyond what we currently expect it to be with the data that we have currently. So I'll wrap up the show with this because I love it, and again, nobody can stop me from talking about it. KenPom has updated their stats for Kentucky. Kentucky, they moved up to number 3 in the country after Florida lost last night, and they stay there now at number 3 with an adjusted offensive efficiency of 120.2, which is 10th in the nation, and that is despite the fact that Kentucky only shot 26% from 3. They shot 63% from inside the arc, which was really, really good, but 10th offensively, and they moved up to 3rd defensively. Really good stuff from Kentucky in terms of preventing offensive rebounds, really good inside and outside the arc in terms of efficiency, slowed Nicholls down, struggled to keep them off the foul line, and struggled to turn the ball, create turnovers, but they did get some steals, did get some blocks. They've got to improve there in terms of aggressiveness. Again, I think if you get low, really good picking up steals, and Quaintance, really good at picking up blocks and defending the rim, out there more consistently for Kentucky, you will see a more complete product, and we just haven't seen it yet. I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like. Maybe we get, I think at the very least, we probably have 2 this weekend against Valpo, right? Or Friday, I should say. At the very least, we get 2 of those guys back. I don't know about JQ. He's out there practicing. Sounds like. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Kentucky. You can follow the show on Twitter at Locked On UK. Follow me on Twitter at LanceDawe_. And follow the show over on Instagram. That is at Kentucky Podcast. Any questions, comments, concerns, you can leave those in the YouTube comments below. You can hit me on the socials. I will see you all tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Kentucky. Hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. And of course, God bless. And go Cats.